Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review Entertainment Edition. I am one of your hosts, the executive consultant Chris Harris, joined today by C the Superior, as well as Semi, nice name there, and Minister Brown. Oh my gosh.
There's a God somewhere.
Yes, the movie tonight is Coming to America. Wow, I almost forgot what movie we were reviewing. I did not pick this movie.
Another 1988 movie.
Yes, and I began reading all week because I have not seen this movie, and I would not have seen this movie if I was not forced to see it to do this podcast tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, how is everybody doing? See the Spirit, how are you doing this evening?
Fantastic. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Semi, what's going on?
It's Semi and Super Green.
My bad, Optimus. Mr. Brown, welcome to the church.
I don't know what you came to do, but I came to praise his name. Lord.
Preach. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So Coming to America, right? Classic. That's what we have right now. James, take us through this movie a little bit.
Let's do it. So this 1988 movie revolves around the Crown Prince of Zamunda meeting his betrothed wife-to-be on his 21st birthday, realizing that his wife-to-be, that he wants his wife to have her own thoughts and opinions. He, with his father, the king's permission, heads to New York, Queens, to find his bride-to-be. Posing as an average African student, Prince Akeem and his best friend Simi take jobs at the local McDowell's restaurant and gain the attention of Mr. McDowell and his daughters Lisa and Patrice, the former of whom has caught his heart, and perhaps he hers.
All right. Very good.
Very good.
Besides Chris, has anyone seen this movie before this week?
Yes.
Okay,
millions
cool.
of people.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I've seen it several times. I remember when I was younger, but it's not. Let me say, this is a movie that I've always remembered in my childhood. Like, it's not something that I remember necessarily one specific time sitting down and watching it, but it's something that that's always kind of been around in the atmosphere. So rewatching it this time, it just kind of like clicked at how funny it actually is, because it's the different humor when you're older and you're watching it and you can catch certain things that you couldn't before. I thought this movie was really funny. It's still funny to this day in 2020.
So I do have a question. Is this movie, the genre of this movie is labeled as a comedy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Comedy.
I would say more romantic comedy.
Romantic comedy. Okay.
Yeah, I would say.
Do you mind? Can I ask you a question, Minister Brown? What does your name symbolize? I don't understand. Why are you Minister Brown?
Because I came to praise his name. Lord. Turn around for a minute, ladies.
Yeah.
There's a God somewhere. You have Larry Flint can't make them like this. Lord.
That was a confusing scene because it's like when
It wasn't confusing.
No,
it wasn't confusing at all.
No, because you look at it, you see the minister, and then he's pointing out these ladies in bikinis standing in front of the Black Awareness sign. What is this, a talent show? Is this a beauty?
That's for Miss
It's
Black
Black
Awareness.
Awareness to raise funds for the children.
Yeah,
Why are you with the children?
that's for Miss Black Awareness Week. That's what that is.
But why? Why do they have performers? And
They're not
why is the
performers.
minister?
They're showing their beauty.
Mr. Randy Watson,
Yes.
Jackson Heights.
And sexual chocolate.
Mr. Randy Watson.
This is all very sexual for some kids.
I
Well,
mean,
the group was
it's
called
1989 though, like, you know what I mean? And Eddie Murphy was able to get away with murder. So,
But think of it this way, Chrissy. I mean, you say it's very sexual, but what gets people to spend money?
Fact City.
Religion.
Hugh Hefner became
They
a
could have
millionaire
framed it
because he took
as church
pictures.
night.
He took pictures of a famous actress,
Uh-huh.
and Hugh Hefner became a millionaire overnight.
Facts.
So if they want to raise money for people, they're going to get people in the seats, see some beautiful women, see a very, very, very mediocre Randy Watson perform with his band.
That boy can sing.
Those models were the moneymaker, really.
Yeah, I would assume so. That's the only reason those barbers were in the audience, besides that one guy who wanted to see sex.
They came there for good, clean church girls. You stop.
Yeah,
Good,
that's
clean,
true. That's
naked
the
church
funny
girl.
thing. That was funny. You go to a black and white run, there's a good woman there. Oh man, the woman
All right.
before was funny. Now,
Next question I have is for Simi down there, since you want to be all technical. What's
Simi,
going
yeah, Simi.
on? What's your name for? What does that symbolize?
Well, Simi is a name that you will recognize it had you watched this movie, and anybody else who had over the years. Semi is what the lady at the Western Union office called him, and he said Simi. So it's a callback to that scene because it's hilarious to me. As much of this movie is, there's so many lines in this movie that you love to hear, and you can recite them over and over and over.
Now, I will have to say I'm a little surprised because I've heard a lot of these lines throughout my life, and I never knew some of these lines came from Coming to America. So a lot of it makes sense now seeing it. I couldn't remember that. I'm assuming Simi was Arsenio Hall's character, right? I never cared to know his name.
Yes. Now,
for those
back on that
from Iowa, so that's why he hasn't seen this movie till today.
Okay, I'm from the great city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Throughout coming through Washington D.C. and now here in Orlando, Pennsylvania. Chris, how much of those cups? I want to buy one. You must be talking about this lovely unpopular review cup. If you want to buy one,
nice.
If you want to buy one, you go ahead and you send me a message, and we'll talk about how you can get this lovely unpopular review cup.
Chris, describe it. What does it look like?
It looks like an unpopular review cup. It's a mug that I drink my tea in, and it has the lovely unpopular review symbol on that cup.
The symbol for those who can't see it, who are watching.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, exactly. Like, it's a tall glass, and it has a handle, and it's made for hot drinks, and it is wrapped around in our unpopular review.
Yeah, so now everybody knows what a cup looks like. The logo is a circle that says unpopular review, and it has a thumbs up and a thumbs down logo for those who are listening at home.
Correct. If in any form that you watch us or listen to us on, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you listen to us on podcasts, you'll see that very same symbol, which is why I said unpopular review cup. It must be pretty awesome to have your own brand on a cup. Yes, it is very awesome. Because it's our brand.
Yes.
Myself, Minister Brown, Simi, Cedar Superior, Katrina Storm, countless others. Notice Ricky Rock. You might want to stop promoting Rock and start promoting yourself. Anyway, so
precisely.
Getting back into this movie. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about what I saw from this movie, because I know that's what people, have been interesting.
Vamos a ver, señores. Vamos a ver, porque el tigre va a poner a hablar mierda ahora. Vamos, ven. Go ahead.
Are we in Zamunda or are we in Mexico? You got to let me know. All right. So look, here's the thing, right? I've had people, so many people send me Zamunda forever. Well, you know what? Stay tuned, because that's coming. That comparison's coming up very soon. All right, so look, I've been getting all these people hitting me up. I don't understand why it's such. Is this movie like some kind of fabric of Americana? Why I have so many people hitting me up saying, "Chris, you haven't seen this movie? Shame on you for not seeing this movie."
Yes,
I did not know this was such a culture changer.
It really
so
was.
Can somebody explain to me why is this movie such a culture changer? Because I'm ignorant.
Okay, if you had seen Trading Places and then this movie, you would definitely see that, especially at the time. Eddie Murphy himself was a culture changer. Now, mind you, I was born in 1982 during the height of his career, so a lot of this stuff was a watch back for me. Now, for me personally, it felt Eddie Murphy himself and everything that he does feels very at home to me, because his movies are very, very, very New York. However, because Eddie Murphy was insanely funny, he hit home for everybody, white people, black people, and the way that he told the story was very indicative of what was happening in this country at the time, especially during the Ronald Reagan era. The height of Eddie Murphy's comedy was during the Ronald Reagan years, where basically you have exactly what you have now. You have bragging and boasting in the White House, and then a ton of racism out in the streets. So, this guy was just awesome at the time, and Eddie Murphy for life. If Eddie Murphy does stand up again, oh my God, I'll be there in the front row. Listen, I'm gonna just tell you one thing. To me, Eddie Murphy is like Hulk Hogan. Straight up. I'm gonna just say it like that. And the guy, and mind you, the guy is.
So you know what? I love the fact that you answered my question so thoroughly, because now I understand why this movie is the fabric of Americana, because Eddie Murphy is very funny in stand up. Is that what you're telling me?
No. Eddie Murphy started with the stand up, stopped the stand up, and then started doing the movies. But the influence that Eddie Murphy had because of his stand up and because of Saturday Night Live and because of everything that he was doing at the time, that's why it was very influential. You didn't have a Kevin Hart and Chris Rock and this one and that one and all these other things. Eddie Murphy was the first black man to stand on stage in Madison Square Garden and get paid. At the end, he says it at the end of the lyrics. He's the first person to do that. And 20 years before that was the civil rights movement. So the thing about it is that Eddie Murphy is a person that was incredibly progressive at the time. And the message behind this movie and the previous movie, Trading Places, really, really shows that message. And is one of the things that led to the progressivisms of the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't see Trading Places, so I can't express that.
You should have. We told you to see that before that. And there's certain things in this movie that you missed out on.
My contract. Let me tell you my contract. My contract states
that you said fine. You said
my contract states that when we review a movie, I will watch the movie. We have a review Trading. Yeah, my contract. Did you not get your contract? Did you not read your contract?
I ain't get no contract. Where's my contract?
That's that New York Public Schools action again. Look,
yeah, okay.
That contract, it says I have it right here. I have it right here. Excuse me.
Yeah, you some big feet pulling legislation out your ass, right?
I have it right here. It says that I am required to watch the movie that we are reviewing. And
I got my contract right here too.
Tawana, what do you want? What would you want? What do you want? Eddie Murphy has made some great movies. He's great in Shrek. If you think of a trash can, then think of Akeem from Mitten K. Patel from a Facebook. So anyway, getting back to this. All right. So I will tell you one thing that I did like.
Let me jump in.
Do you think there's a comparable?
So you asked why this is
I'll answer that question in a second for you, Ms. Brown. Go ahead, James.
You asked why this movie is a cultural phenomenon and why it seems like everybody's talking about how, they're shocked when you say you haven't seen this movie before, right? There's certain movies and certain expectations that we grow up with, as Black people. Oh, you're supposed to be able to dance, you're supposed to be able to play basketball, et cetera, et cetera. Now, those you can largely say are stereotypes. Likewise, there are certain movies that everybody assumes that every Black person has seen. Let me just say, though, typically, Coming to America is one of those movies. But for a larger audience, right, in the sense of those who may not have grown up watching Coming to America, this is 1988. Vic brought up Trading Places that came out in 83. At that time, Eddie Murphy was just blowing up in Hollywood, right? He didn't have that cachet that he had by 1988. 1988, Coming to America is Eddie's movie. If you look at the cast of Trading Places, even though the subject matter is different, versus the cast of Coming to America, and then I think it's in 1989 when you get Harlem Nights, right, which is essentially an all-Black film, right? That's Eddie Murphy. A few weeks back, I was listening to this podcast, Comedy Hype, and they were talking about how back then Eddie Murphy and I think it was Spike Lee, they were getting to a back and forth of how come you don't make more pro-Black movies and push Paramount to push more of a Black subject matter. And Eddie Murphy was saying, listen, I don't own Paramount. I do what I can do. And if you look at my films, you can see my hand and my weight and my power in Hollywood. Nowadays we have Kevin Hart, we have a lot of these other people. You might find 2 or 3 of us in Hollywood that can really, our name on the marquee, and we can just get the budget and the backing of a studio. But back then you couldn't do that. And this movie was the Black Panther of that era, and for so long until Black Panther. You can go back and listen to that review that we talked about that. We had never seen anything like that. When they showed Africa wasn't Tarzan.
Amen.
Africa was a thriving, or Zamunda rather, was a thriving civilization, a thriving kingdom. It had a history. You could see it. You could piece it together. And King Joffrey was a full man. He wasn't some weakling. He wasn't a babbling fool. His wife, the queen, Aeolion, she was beautiful. She was intelligent. She had her own backbone, her own thoughts. You wanted to be Joffrey. And then when they come to New York, and the New Yorkers are making fun of them because, again, they have the stereotype of what they were taught Africans were like. And you see that the Africans are more civilized, have better things, even the servants in the royal house. So it's a brilliant film. And as Chrissy says, when you watch it again as an adult, especially with everything that we're going through right now, you can see the so many layers and how deep that movie is, and why, in my opinion, it never gets old.
Great point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. See, Superior, what are your thoughts when it comes to this movie?
Oh, I just wanted to mention the costume design was beautiful. Like this one of these opening scenes when you see the dance scene, beautifully shot. And it almost kind of reminds me of that one. I know it's like completely different movies, but something about the way it was shot reminds me of that scene in The Wiz where they get to the witches area, and she had like that whole song. Something about it is very similar, but either way, the colors were really nice and vibrant, even for like a 1980s kind of blurry film, but you can still see the vibrancy of the color. And I also appreciated that the cast was so like there's so many faces that are familiar. Like they have Cuba Gooding Jr. in there. They have what's her name, Fancy from the Jamie Foxx show. I forget her the actress name, but she's in there. It's like they don't have really big parts, but once you see them in the movie, it's like
this was the big break for a lot of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have Eric LaSalle. I think this was his first one too. You have so many people that really began to take over Hollywood in the next decade. That this movie really was a jumping off point, and again, Eddie Murphy did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Eddie Murphy was the one who gave John Landis a career again in Hollywood.
Yep.
Zakiah Brown from YouTube says, "Do you think there is a comparable film to Coming into America in 2020?"
That has, I mean, I would that has as much black influence. Black Panther. However,
in 2020,
in 2020.
Oh, in 20 no.
When did Black Panther come out? 2017.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I just thought that she just meant like in the modern era, but yeah, I mean because like
I'm gonna go with that too. I think she means more the modern era. So I would agree with him with Black Panther.
Because that's the only movie that really like caught on, and it got to the point where like people started arguing, which was ridiculous in my opinion. But yeah, like where it really got caught on with the culture, and a lot of people went to go see it because of the positive African images that were in this movie, like you were alluding to earlier.
It might be a little controversial, but I don't think that Coming to America has the same impact as Black Panther.
I mean, because you lived through it.
Yeah, I guess because I lived through it, but it seems like there wasn't. Well, again, I didn't live through it, but I don't remember anybody saying there was like a mania kind of around Coming to America where people were like dressing up and doing all of that.
Oh no.
Yeah,
not all of that. No, definitely not all of that. But like what we're trying to say is just the level of influence. Because look, till this day, nearly 40 years later. I mean, no, nearly 30 years, like 30 something years later, this movie is referenced in a lot of things. This is a movie up there with like The Godfather. Like a lot of people know about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. I think that Black Panther might end up that way as well. But and mind you, it's gotten to the point where now they're talking about making a sequel, which is something that I'm very curious about because at this point it might turn out to be terrible. But you never know. You know what I mean? Because it's been so long. But at the end of the day, like this is something that just at the time was very, very influential. And I definitely see what you're saying as far as like people dressing up and doing all of that. But then at the same time, like people didn't necessarily go dress up for Star Wars until the second or third one. You know what I mean? So because like Star Wars was supposed to be a shit movie, and then it turned out to be popping for everybody. So like, you know what I mean? So that's why I say that. But like me as a first generation American resonated with this movie because there's a lot of people in my family that kind of went through similar things coming into New York and trying to fit in with the culture and trying to understand certain things. For example, are you serious? Are you serious right now? All right, Willie. So like no, but as a first generation American, like I I resonated with this movie in the beginning because of his journey of coming in and like kind of like assimilating to the culture, especially with like that Mets jacket.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was so funny because they said, "Oh yeah, we must dress like New Yorkers." And next thing you know, they come out with this full blown like, who dresses like that?
Yes, and it's awesome. Like because like no, I'm telling you.
You mean to tell me New Yorkers don't dress like this all the time?
No, they don't. But here's the thing: there are people. Let me tell you something. No, there are people that came from DR, and I'm talking back in the '80s. Like, there's people that came from DR and like fresh off the boat, and we took them to the Statue of Liberty, and we put them in like these kind of clothes. Like these are the shit that they showed up with. Like I mean, mind you, it hits so close to home, that image, for me personally. And I mean, there's a lot of things that hit close to home in this movie, which is the reason why I have the flag of Queens behind me. For those of you that are from Queens, shout out. And yeah, you get to see so many parts of Queens Boulevard. You see, shout out to the wrestling people. You see the Elks Lodge in this movie if you look far enough for where the ECW, where it was the home for ECW. But anyway, back to the movie.
Wait, a lot of the comedy in it was like, some of it was, I guess, not really in your face. A lot of it was like undertone of kind of like you had to catch it. Mm-hmm. Like I remember the one scene when Simi and Eddie Murphy's character were talking about where they were going to go to find a queen, right? Yeah. So first, Eddie Murphy was like, "Oh yeah, we have to go to America," and then Simi was like, "Oh, America's so vast, so many places we could go. So LA or New York." It's like the first only named LA and New York, which I thought was
which is kind of sad, but he said he wanted to live in the slums. So if you want to live in the slums, why not go to LA or New York? I completely understand and completely agree. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Unpopular Reviews or listening to Unpopular Reviews, Entertainment Edition. We're reviewing Coming to America. We're going to take a short break, and we come back. One of our co-hosts from Unpopular Reviews Wrestling would like to come on to pay a short tribute, and I do mean short tribute in respect to this movie. We'll be right back.
You said short.
Thank you for watching this edition of the Unpopular Review. If you like what you're watching, please subscribe to us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at UPRYEPILW. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to our friends at Yep I Like Wrestling on the same social medias at YEPILW. Yep.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Executive Consultant, C to Superior Minister Brown and Simi here. And we also going to bring on a special guest once again, ladies and gentlemen, from UPR Wrestling Edition. It is the limitless one, Willie. And this is.
I don't know if y'all got to this part yet, but come on, y'all, clap it up. Statue chocolate, y'all. Statue chocolate.
Oh, it's
our future.
Wait, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to y'all.
Statue chocolate, y'all, and I'm dropping the mic. Oh no, I'm dropping the mic.
The likeness is uncanny.
All right, y'all, I'm out. I just wanted.
All right, but wait a minute. I just want to use this as an example of the fact of how influential this movie is. You notice how the limitless one, Will E, showed up, and the first thing that he did was put on a wig and talk about Jackson Heights' own Mr. Randy Watson. Okay.
Yeah. You
that boy good.
Definitely, I could see the influence behind that. I'm just surprised he showed up. Look, let's talk about what I thought of this movie, and not what my thought, because those are final thoughts. But here's what I saw in this movie. I saw the Prince of Wakanda, right? I saw him there. He's getting bathed and stuff like that, and he says, "Hey, I need to find a wife," because he doesn't like the wife that actually listens. So he says, I need somebody who's going to talk ass to me. I need somebody who's going to talk back to me. So he said, hey, let's go to the United States of America. James, let me finish. He said, let me go to the United States of America. Hey, where can we find the worst women in America? Well, they got golly gee, Batman. They have to be in New York or Los Angeles. So let's go ahead and pick. And of course, they were smart enough to pick New York because the trashiest women are in New York. Now, Let me address this comment here from Jay Boyan from Facebook. Most movies filmed in the greatest city in the world do great. I can't wait for part 2. Well, when you have a cheating population of 12 million in that city, no wonder you think that. And you are from New York, you're a little biased.
Okay, a cheating population in the city. First of all, what state is the school right now?
I let you finish. Let me finish talking and saying my piece, okay? All right. Now, I know y'all think this is a big budget movie because it has so many people in there, but considering the fact they were both played, half the people were played by 2 of the same men, I don't think it was that damn impressive.
That was great.
See, still talking. Still talking.
No, that was awesome
funny.
that he was able to
They're not funny. Arsenio Hall was not funny in this movie whatsoever.
How is that funny?
Can I finish my thought? Why do y'all interrupt? Y'all some rude motherfuckers to that. All right.
You see, what did I say about the tomfoolery, ladies and gentlemen?
No, I don't
what
understand.
Did I say about
There's no
tomfoolery.
I'm telling you from my personal opinion what I saw in this movie. Now, granted, somebody said very intelligent that unfortunately I'm looking at this movie from 2020 eyes. He's completely correct. This movie is 22 years old. I'm sorry, 32 years old, and I am looking at it from 2020 eyes, but that's the only eyes I can look at it from. So now, all right. So we have this fake out McDonald's, right? Fake out McDonald's. I swear to goodness, y'all interrupt me one more damn time, okay?
Hey, say it right.
I was completely quiet when you two were talking about how good this movie is, okay? So let me tell you my problems with some of this movie, okay? They were at this fake ass McDonald's when the manager is clearly they're in 1988 and they don't have COVID because he was flipping burgers with his hands, and that bothered me. Okay, in 2020 that bothered me. All right, yes, it bothered me.
I used to work at IHOP. They was flipping everything with their hands. Believe me.
Then he's interrupting these two corrupt sluts of daughters of his. Okay, all right, that he's pimping out. I might add. All right, he's pimping out. Change my name back. He's pimping out.
Tomfoolery.
First, you have the oldest woman. She's a slut. Yeah. She's involved with this guy, all right, because her father pimped her out, and he just wants some money, right? And at first, she's with it. She's cool with it. Yeah, him. At first, she's cool with it. Then she says, "Oh, I don't like what you said, so let me hop in the next nutsack that I see," which happened to be Eddie Murphy's character. Okay, that's one. Slut number 2, the sister. Mm-hmm. She's a slut. She's obviously a slut. Only thing get her. Yeah, right? She's thrown herself after anybody because she's not the main slut. All right, so she's all upset that she can't get the money, so she's going after any leftover. She finally, she finally thinks she caught the big bag, and then she looks like a damn fool. The only person that was interesting in this movie was one character, right? One character. Mm. That character is Nick Fury. I was so happy to see Nick Fury in there. And because he saw the vibranium that was happening in Wakanda, because Eddie Murphy's character was able to get up and get the fuck too, he said, I'm going to change my life around. I'm going to change my life around, and I'm going to start S.H.I.E.L.D. I was so happy to see Samuel L. Jackson's character in this movie. I thought he stole the movie with his one scene. Except for one other person who definitely stole the scene for me and stole the movie for me, and that is none other than Darth Vader himself.
No.
You mean Mufasa himself?
No. That is Mufasa.
Exactly.
That is Mufasa
first, then maybe Darth
Vader. That is not Darth Vader. That is Mufasa. Okay.
He can't be Mufasa. He can't be Mufasa because he's still alive. So let me go back there.
Darth Vader died too.
Darth Vader ain't alive.
Excuse me. Apparently you didn't see the last Star Wars. Nobody dies. Now look, all I'm saying is Darth Vader was there and he was commanding every scene that he was in. Fast. He went in there. He told John Amos. He said, "Hey, my son ain't interested in your daughter. Your daughter's beneath me, and so are you. Take this $1 million. Take this $2 million. All right,
like, my daughter can't be bought off. Nonsense."
Oh yeah, now you're gonna carry ball. My favorite line in the whole movie. Y'all go ahead. Y'all talk about all these lines. You got sexual chocolate and all this other BS that y'all talking. My favorite line in this whole movie was when he was talking to his son, and the dude came in, fat dude who's singing, and he was like, "Hey, we got guests waiting," and he was like, "Let them wait." Loved it. I rewound it 5 times. Love that. That's my brief synopsis of this movie.
But speaking of the guy who was singing at the beginning of the movie, they had a lot of songs in this movie, or like a couple songs in the movie but there are two that are like the most synonymous with this film, and it's the first one is the Queen. She's your queen. That song.
Yes.
And the second
So
one,
stupid. That was so stupid.
no, and the second one is the Soul Glow.
Queen.
It's the Soul Glow song.
No, I
So
mean,
which
if you
song do
listen to
think
the
is more
lyrics of that
synonymous?
song, though, wow.
No, which song do you think is more synonymous with the video, with the movie? Which song is better?
Neither. I hear.
No.
I hear.
Queen to be.
Soul Glow.
Queen
Queen
to
to
be.
be.
No.
I
If you go
guarantee
by
somebody makes some Soul Glow and they'll buy it just to have it.
Now, if you go by what I heard the most, it would be Soul Glow. But both of them were stupid, and it was not funny, and it was not entertaining. I did not like it. But
Let me jump in. Chris, I respect your opinion in that I can't critique your opinion. It's your opinion, right?
correct.
But let me just defend the film. Again,
He's being in trouble.
my standpoint is this. The movie did what no other movie had done at that time.
Facts.
And even you could argue 2 decades after that.
Amen.
Okay. It did not have the backing of Hollywood that any other black movie had.
Amen.
You could argue for over 2 decades in Hollywood. So if someone, I'm not saying that you said this, but if someone were to say that it was corny or cheesy or whatever like that, okay. But let me just say this. You call him, the Prince of Wakanda and everything like that. No, he's Prince Akeem of the Kingdom of Zamunda. The movie was a comedy, but at no point did I ever feel like Eddie Murphy's character, even when he was pretending to just be, as he says, a typical African student, was he buffooning and clowning himself. At no point did I think that he was making fun of African people. At no point did he seem to make fun of American black people. What he did throughout that movie, and I say he because he was the backing of that, and the idea was his and Arsenio Hall's, I believe, was to highlight something that we have a lot of these conceptions. Vic said it himself, his family coming from DR, when they had people visit, they thought this was America. You know what I mean? I need to get the New York thing because when I go back, everybody has to know where I've been. And America, the empire of America is commercialism, right? Mm-hmm. But as we've seen in this movie, he comes from real money, and real money, as they say, is silent. So when King Joffrey says, "What are you talking about? I can't buy your daughter." Of course I can. You're beneath me. What do you mean by that? He's not even saying it to be insulting. He's saying it as a matter of fact because he is as he said, the supreme ruler of Zamunda. But he is from a different generation than his son. If you listen to his accent is that of a colonial British ruler.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the father of his betrothed wife to be, he is wearing a British colonial uniform, the helmet and everything like that. So it's a generational divide. And so to your point, you're watching it from the lens of 2020. Why you call the daughters sluts, I don't know, because guys do the same thing and it's cheered on. So I don't know why one is preferred over the other. Now wait a minute, don't interrupt. You said not to interrupt.
Right, all that complaining about people interrupting you.
You said not to interrupt, show me the same respect. Did you not? Thank you. Okay, so you're looking at it through the lens of 2020, right? But this is a different generation. But there's so much in this movie that I think you're overlooking, in my opinion, to not show this movie the respect that it deserves.
Thanks.
This movie, in my opinion, is not outdated at all. You have a lot of these same people. If you were to go to New York and you said you were from such and such a place, they would say, well, you got to start dressing like me. You got to start dressing like me. And then when you sit back and you think about it, the clothes that we wear, that we fight over, were made by children in the developing world. And yet New Yorkers would say, some would say, unless to be accepted, you have to dress like these, sweatshop factory clothes. This movie is highlighting that in 1988. If you look at the scene when he gives Mortimer Duke the money, that money was probably $5,000, $10,000. What is he saying? Anybody who started a business will tell you that with $5,000 to $10,000, you can start your own business and become a millionaire. He's putting message after message after message in this movie. We said in the beginning, he has given so many jobs to so many black actors who develop names in Hollywood in this one film.
Amen.
So even if it was, and the fact that nobody had done what he did before by playing all those multiple characters,
Facts.
nobody has done it since.
And yeah, this is the first time he did that in a movie. Apparently,
And mind you, I haven't seen Arsenio Hall do that since.
Do you see? And the choreography that we talked about, that Chrissy talked about earlier, that was done by Paula Abdul. And she says that was her most fond memory of doing choreography. So we have to show this movie the respect that it deserves.
No, we don't. So let me explain something. First, I will call the male sluts too. So I want to make sure that I say that right way because I don't want to be political. I'm an equal opportunity offender. All right. If the males did it, they'll be sluts. The women did it, they'll be sluts. They were being holed out by their father. I mean, I'm sorry. There's no other way.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
That's fine for you.
She clearly has a conversation with her father, and she says, "You only like Daryl because he has money," and he says, "I don't want you to struggle like your mom and I had to struggle." And he has money. The father does not know that Daryl is a jerk. The father thinks that Daryl treats her well. And she never tells him her business as far as Daryl being a jerk and everything like that. She does not involve. So the father does not know that. If the father knew that, he would not allow that.
Okay, I can counter that by saying that at the same time, we found out the dude was a prince. All right, he started being a jerk before he found out he was a jerk. He started being a jerk to Mr. Jerry Curl. So I don't want to hear that either. The dude was a pimp.
Daryl.
I mean, what the father wants. But here's the thing: the father wants what every father wants for his daughter. It's a sense of security. It's a sense of security. What it was. Now, mind you, he was. And now I'll agree with you to the fact that he was definitely overly pushing about it. Yes. About them finding a man with money and all of that. I will agree with you on that, but at the same time, he was definitely just looking out for his daughter and trying to make sure that. But here's the thing, though, he didn't necessarily have that much influence. He had more influence on the younger daughter than he did on the older daughter, because the older daughter was still doing her own thing. She liked helping in the family business, but she was still doing her own thing. And but the younger daughter, it seemed like maybe she had a daddy complex and wanted to impress her father. And because here's the thing: as soon as Mr. Soul Glow got dumped, Patrice was right there to pick his ass right back up. Real fucking quick.
And that was who she was. She was true to form. That was who she was. She didn't hide it.
That's who she is. And I mean, here's the other thing: in 2020, there are women that look to be kept.
Yeah, I don't know if she was looking to be kept, because if earlier in the film when they went to see the basketball game, whatever game it was they went to go see, she was giving dude a hand job in the crowd, like as they were sitting there watching the game.
It wasn't lit.
And this is before she found out he was a prince.
But that's just like those girls that feel like they got to give it up the first night in order, or else you ain't gonna go.
But she didn't know he was a prince. She
had no idea.
Listen, she was about that life. She was about that life.
She was a little
and she was
him that one was.
And she was true to form. Listen, Chrissy, if you're gonna not you, I won't say you particular, but let me just say this sentence: if you're gonna give a hand job to a guy, you're gonna give it to a millionaire. You're gonna give it to a regular Joe.
A millionaire, but
a millionaire. There you go.
Don't
be mad at Patrice.
That's a very Hulk Hogan line of you, James. But let me explain something. All right.
Hulk Hogan line. Yeah.
And then her older sister goes on to marry Akeem at the end of the movie, right? So she marries the man that her sister just gave a hand job to.
She didn't give him a hand job.
She didn't give him a hand job. That shows where you're. That shows where you're.
Don't you remember how he went? As soon as he was about to get the hand job, he said, "Yes, in the face."
Well, she was in the process of trying to give, and it might.
Yeah, but she got with Daryl. She got with Daryl now, and she's a millionaire.
I mean, she was probably just trying to feel the passion.
She was trying to give at least 3 dudes in this movie.
Yeah, that one out. She's a little much, but not the oldest. one. But you know what? The father, I don't know if it was.
I said it. So what?
So what? But the dad, is it just me, or does he kind of remind you like Mr. Krabs in this movie? It's like he was like the black Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
Oh my God!
I don't watch SpongeBob. I have a little bit more.
I know what she's talking about. Yeah, Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs.
You know what it is? That Mr. Krabs is very, very pro business. Yes. So Mr. Krabs is like he is like a true businessman, and I get it. I see what you're talking about.
Maybe not.
You see,
maybe
not.
Not.
You have to watch everything so that you can understand the old people and the young people. You see how Chrissy is a youngin'? You know what I mean? She's talking about SpongeBob, and like and you see how I'm
Thank you,
old and
Charmaine.
talking about young. Coming to America, Chris. You got to meet in the middle. You got to watch everything. You can't be so.
I watched everything. I don't want to hear that. Mitten from Facebook says, "How do y'all feel about the sequel of the movie?" I'll go first on this one. I did find out about the sequel of the movie a couple years ago, and after watching this movie, I'm actually, you know what? I'm not going to go first, Mitten. I'm going to answer that when I give my final thoughts on this movie about whether or not we should have a sequel of this movie. But if anybody else wants to answer Mr. Mitten from Facebook's question, how do y'all feel about the sequel of the movie?
I'm excited about it because it's probably going to be some type of grandchildren. James Earl Jones is still alive, so he's going to be in it. And it's just going to be amazing. And if there's one thing that Eddie Murphy is going to do in this movie, if there's one thing that he's going to do in the second movie, it's the same thing that he did in the first movie: is give shine to people that are not getting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me piggyback that and
kind
say
of reminds me of Nick Cannon.
Maybe
I'm good. Chris, you're about to make me talk. You're about to make me real candid.
I can't hear you. I said it reminds me.
You're about to make me real candid. Let me say this. Anyway, let me go back to the question raised before I go to Nick Cannon, okay? Because I'll keep it real. I'll burn this house down.
Now you out. Please go. I'll answer about the sequel after you.
Yeah. What about the sequel? Let me say this. I think Eddie Murphy is the past 10 years, he's been returning truer to form. So I'm looking very much forward to the sequel because, again, to Vic's point, rather, everything that he did in the first one, everybody that he put on, all of the hidden messages that he spoke to his audience, right? And when you look at Eddie Murphy's films, Eddie Murphy, true to form, he makes black films.
Yep.
And they're great. So I can't wait to see what he does through a 2020 lens, which we keep coming back to in Coming to America too. When he is Eddie Murphy, when he has all these names, and just knowing some of the people that he has in there, some of the other comedians that he's allowed to come back and are fantastic. And he's brought in Wesley Snipes as somebody in there. So what is he going to talk about? We don't know. I look forward to seeing it. I'm not going to compare it to Coming to America 1 because the title is Coming to America 2. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wait, you know what though? Just to piggyback on that really, really quick, I just want to say that the sequel of this movie is one thing that got me excited about it was when Eddie Murphy recently did Saturday Night Live, and then he brought back his comedy, just a little bit of his comedy, right? From Raw, not Delirious, from Raw. At the moment that he said, "Who's America's Dad now?" and he started talking about Bill Cosby, that floored me because I realized right then and there that he's going to bring some of that stuff back, and that is going to be incredible. And
it's going to hit.
Well, as far as the sequel goes, I remember hearing about it. I want to say it was like 2017. I remember like people were whispering about it, and then later on, like some images came out of them on set. And some were of Eddie Murphy in costume. But I'm a little cautious I'm a little worried, honestly, because I know that he just recently did a movie on Netflix called Dolomite, and it was received, it had like a little mixed reviews.
I mean, Eddie Murphy's done a lot of bad movies.
Yeah, when I watched it, I didn't really get into it that much, and it makes me concerned about the humor for Coming to America too. So if he
his kids are grown
the
now.
Magic of the first one, okay, but if it's about to be like Eddie Murphy comedy now, I'm not sure if it'll hit. But it's going to be a successful movie either way because people are going to go either way. It's going to make a lot of money. But I'm just concerned about the actual quality, like if it's going to be as funny, as impactful, as topical as the first one.
Well, I mean that's yet to be seen. You know why? Because his kids are grown, and one of the main reasons why he was so soft in the past, at least 20 to 30 years, is because he had children and he wanted to portray a certain thing, and hence the Shrek had the Norbit and the stuff like that. Like one of the last funniest movies that he did was Nutty Professor. But here's the thing. But here's the main difference, and the one thing where you could definitely see that transition was between Nutty Professor 1 and Nutty Professor 2, because Nutty Professor 2 is totally different from Nutty Professor 1. But this is the time when his kids already were starting to become aware of stuff. Yeah. And so like, like that I have a feeling now that his kids are grown, now that he can just go all out. And even with just that little bit of stand-up that he did on Saturday Night Live, because mind you, that shit hit. That shit trended like crazy when he did that. And it wasn't even that much. I have a feeling that now with whatever he does is going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to the next version of Beverly Hills Cop. Because.
But wait, did you guys say it's coming out in December, the second one?
Yeah, it comes out December. Well, before this COVID and everything, it was supposed to come out this December. I don't know if
see now. Look, Charmaine makes a good point. Look, you said, did you watch Vampire in Brooklyn? Vampire in Brooklyn is a good movie to make jokes of, but it definitely wasn't one of Eddie's best. You know what I mean? Now, the one thing that I do like about Eddie Murphy is that the guy has a ton of fucking range. The fact that he can go from an African guy to a black barber to a Jewish guy to, I mean, like, man, that guy had so much. And mind you, spot on. Even the Jewish guy with the corny ass joke. And mind you, after hearing it like 2 or 3 times, I kind of laughed. What do you know from funny, you bastard?
But notice that they never, in the credits, they never said that was Eddie Murphy. You had to really watch the end title credits to find out that it was him. But I'll say this, I heard about the sequel when Louis Anderson, he was on Sway in the Morning, and he talked about it, that he heard rumblings of it, and he said, I hope they do it. And he said, I hope my character is still working at McDowell's, but like they're working like in the back or something like this time. And I thought that was hilarious. If he's in McDowell's and he's working at a different part, that would be hilarious. I haven't seen Vampire in Brooklyn, but let me say this, and this may be controversial, but this is my personal favorite aesthetic and everything like that. A couple of years ago, it would have been Coming to America. Now, I'm gonna say my favorite Eddie Murphy movie though is Harlem Nights. That is a great underrated movie. Love that movie.
So nobody likes Haunted Mansion?
Pardon? What'd you say?
Haunted Mansion, one of his best movies.
I'm about to start calling you. I'm seriously about to start calling her craziness child.
I've never seen Haunted Mansion. I've never seen Harlem Nights. I've seen Vampire in Brooklyn. My favorite Eddie Murphy film probably would be Shrek.
I knew he was going to say that. I knew he was going to say some tomfoolery like that. All right.
Okay, guys, it's time to get into final thoughts.
It is definitely time.
Wait.
No
waiting.
No waiting.
Wait, no, there's one thing that we forgot to mention.
Put it in your final thoughts.
No, but wait a minute. For those of you that saw Trading Places.
Okay, I knew it.
For those of you that saw Trading Places, right? There was a scene in this movie that was very, very influential, right? And that is the scene where Eddie Murphy was walking with his girl, and then he dropped the money. He dropped like probably $500 or $600 on those 2 bums, right? Now these 2 bums right here, these were the main characters in Trading Places. 2 of the main characters in Trading Places, because they are the ones that gave pulled Eddie Murphy from the street and then put him and basically switched places with him and the rich guy so that then they could have a bet. So now in the end of that movie, just to make it quick, Eddie Murphy and the rich guy, they end up getting together. Okay, so anyway, the bottom line is that they lost all the money. They lost all the money and ended up becoming bums in this movie, and they were bums in the movie. And now,
Vic, what
you mean?
I
didn't because they didn't see what happened. I was just about to say what happened. I didn't say what happened. I didn't say what happened. All I said, I didn't say how it happened. All I said is that they lost the money. That's it. Eddie Murphy turned them to bums, and then he gave them money and brought them.
You just said it, Vic. Final thoughts.
Anyway, okay, so my final thoughts are: shout out to the Queen's flag in the back. Now, the great thing about this is that it was definitely.
Excuse me, Vic. Vic.
Who's changed my name to Spoiler?
I didn't change it. Chrissy did. We'll be right back after this final commercial message where you will find out. Oh my God. All right. We'll be right back after this commercial message where you will find out what movie we're reviewing next week here on the Popular Review Entertainment.
We ain't even going to do Trading Places, so I don't know.
Let's move.
Wait for the signal.
How the hell can you even tell? Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is The Old Guard, which you can watch on Netflix, and join us next week as we review that movie, See the Superior. Whoever his name is going to be next week, Victor, you can change your name back to what it was before, the executive consultant. I'm the executive consultant, joined by the same three people I just mentioned, giving our final thoughts to none other than this movie, which is coming to America. And of course, as always, we are going to go ahead and start with See the Superior, final thoughts as well as your grade.
All right. So final thoughts about this movie is, again, I remember this movie when I was younger. I remember liking it, but I never remember fully watching it like from start to finish. Now that I've watched it from start to finish, I think it's hilarious. I was joking before about Haunted Mansion, even though I do like Haunted Mansion, but I do think this is probably his best movie. You guys are nodding your head no, but look, this is my final thought.
I'm sorry, it's not about you. I'm reading these comments. Like, when are you going to review one of the Rock's movies? You gotta let Rock go. I don't see us reviewing any of the Rock's movies anytime soon. I'm just being real with you, okay? I really don't. And I'm also reading unpopular reviews saying Life is the next Eddie Murphy movie, and I'm trying to be on that episode, and I have no idea.
I forgot about Life.
Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, I was fired.
I forgot about Life. You know what, low key, that might be his best. I don't know. Okay, so
no, that's
this Coming to America is in his top three.
I'm trying to be on that show. Why
you gotta be so nasty? Because I'm like nasty.
Stop interrupting my final thoughts. Thank you. So Coming to America might be it's maybe top three best Eddie Murphy movies. So I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a thumbs up that it deserves. A thumbs up for this movie. Now you can talk.
I just want to know who unpopular review is that keeps telling me they want to be a part of this that episode. I need to know a name.
That's got to be Willie.
It might be Willie. It might be Willie, but can he at least announce this himself? That's all I'm saying. Oh, it is me, Willie. It's me, Willie. All right, so we'll talk about that. But Life is not the next movie that we're going to review. Somebody has to pick it, and I'm not sure if somebody's going to pick that anytime in the immediate future. Spoiler alert, since you didn't change your name, go ahead and give your final thoughts as well as your grade for this movie.
Okay, so now continuing about trading places.
I knew you were going to do that.
It's sweet, guys.
All right, so no, the bottom line is that I clearly love this movie for many reasons. Now, on a personal level, one thing I really like looking at the background of this movie, especially watching it back now. I've been watching this movie for the past 30 years. I've seen it at least once every 2 years because just for the laughs, more than anything. It's something that brings me back to how Queens used to be. It's definitely a very progressive movie. It's something that I've always liked. And Joe Louis is the greatest boxer that ever lived. He was bad in Sugar. He was bad in Cassius Clay. He was bad in Sugar Ray.
What does that have to do with?
Here they go. Every time I talk about boxing, a white man gonna pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. That's day one. Rocky Marciano. Let me tell you something once and for all. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't shit.
You guys.
So anyway, just to say that, I love
does that have to do with the movie? What does that have to do with the movie?
No, see, what that has to do with this movie is just that it is a memorable, the barbershop is a memorable, very, very memorable segment. And it's not a segment, like this is wrestling. It's a very, very memorable part of the movie because it's definitely something. It's that like a bullshit barber, a guy that just lies all the time. Sweet, I met Martin Luther King in 1962 in Memphis, Tennessee. You know what I mean? That kind of shit happens all the time in the barbershop in New York. This movie is very, very, very New York, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I love watching it over whenever I want to get flashbacks of how things used to be here. I watch this movie. I will continue to watch this movie. My children will watch this movie. My grandchildren will watch this movie. And here's the thing. You see how Spanish people become black or white? This is one of those movies that made me black. Okay? That is one of the main reasons why I love this movie. So, yes, those are my final thoughts. And I got more. I got more. But
Will you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I'm gonna give it a Wakanda double thumbs up. How about that? How about that? How about that?
Thumbs up. Semi, we're on you now. Hopefully you won't
Zamunda forever.
Vic, who's gonna clean up all these flowers?
Yes.
All right, Chris, you want to know what I think about this movie? Everybody watching, everybody listening, you want to know what I think? I think it's a vision of perfection, an object of affection to quench your royal fire, completely free from infection, to be used at your discretion, waiting only for your direction.
Yes.
Your queen
to be.
Lord. I love this movie. Every time you talk about this movie, everybody has famous lines. You can quote it without even having to think about it. People just jump in. You start one line, people will finish it. You know, sometimes there are people out there. I know Chris and I, we do this. Sometimes we'll throw out movie lines at each other to see if we catch it, and we do. But this is one of those movies that everybody who's seen it, everybody who loves it, they'll just start doing scenes from the movie. It's infectious. You love it. Will the sequel do it? We don't know. We hope. But again, we were born in a different generation. It has a certain nostalgia to it. I love what he did as far as bringing on so much talent, so much young talent, so much so-called undiscovered talent. I don't really think it's been done before. We can talk about that Black Panther as far as a big budget Black movie, but a lot of those people in that movie were established stars already when they did Black Panther. You have some up and coming names and everything like that, but you see a lot of that in these smaller projects. You know what I mean? Maybe a Jordan Peele, and understand what I mean when I say that, as far as giving lesser known Black talent starring vehicles. Okay, but this movie is great. It has to be respected. It's a thumbs up. Easy.
All right, thumbs up.
All right, so James gives it a thumbs up, and I wasn't ready with the thumbs because I thought you were going to keep on going. That was actually pretty quick for you, James. I'm a little impressed. All right, so now we're going to go to the facts. Okay, let's talk about facts. This movie got a 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb.com. This movie cost, and remember we're talking about 1988. This movie cost exactly $39 million. It made $288 million. 128 of it came from the United States. Let me explain why I say this. 1988. That is damn good for 1988. So kudos goes for Eddie Murphy for that, Arsenio Hall, everybody else who's a part of this movie for that. Let's talk about some things that I did not like about this movie. A lot of things that I did not like about this movie is the fact that I'm sorry. I heard somebody that needs to be like removed. But anyway, so some things I did not like about this movie was the fact that I was not a fan of the pimping of the daughters. No matter how you try to justify it, it was a pimpage of the daughters. And yes, I made up that word. It was pimpage of the daughters. He wanted to use his daughters to get some money, and the other one just was throwing herself everywhere. But one thing I will say is that somebody, and I can't remember if it was James or Chrissy, said that I agree with, is that she never changed. She was who she was. She had no shame in who she was. So for that, I can respect a lot of her when it comes to that. I did not find Arsenio Hall's character funny at all. I do believe that the movie would not have worked without his character in it. I just did not find him that funny. So take that for what you will. If you understand it, cool. If not, then it's hard for me to explain. I just think he was good in the movie. I just don't think he was funny. Now, that being said, a couple of things I did like about this movie. I loved, as you can tell from our intro, the entrance of this movie. I actually have been, I'll tell you the truth. I've been playing that song in my car the entire day. Earlier, I was playing that entire. I downloaded that song into my playlist. Vic, if you don't shut the heck up for 5 seconds, right? It was such a great song. I love it. It's going to stay in my playlist. So that's one thing I did like about the movie. I thought James Earl Jones killed in this movie. Such a commanding presence. And I loved it. I even loved his wife in this movie because I thought she was a really good yin to the yang. So it just showed the generational ties there. So I like that part of the movie. And one thing that I learned about this movie, and I'm going to take this away, and I want James, Chrissy, and Vic to pay attention to me very carefully, and all the Hammer niggers who are watching very carefully when I say this and listening. from now on, everywhere I go, I want 3 women, and I'm hiring them. I'm putting them on Craigslist. I'm putting them on Facebook Jobs. I'm putting them on Indeed.com. I want to hire 3 women that every time I walk, they're throwing flower petals at my feet. I think I deserve flower petals anywhere that I walk. And for that, and that alone, I'm going to rate this movie a thumbs up. It was actually a really good movie. I liked it. I was really surprised. I did not expect to like this movie as much as I did. But
here comes the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the truth.
Now, don't get me wrong. Everything I said negative about the movie, I agree with. But it didn't take anything away from it. No movie's perfect. I think it was a little qualms about this movie. But honestly speaking, I really loved this movie. It was good. I'm mad it took me this long to see it. I'm not saying it was one of the funniest movies of all time, but it was really respectable. It was really enjoyable. And thank you so much for actually picking this movie, the person who picked this, because it was a good movie. And I don't know if I'll be seeing Trading Places anytime soon, but I know we are going to review that soon. So keep that in mind. All right, so we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching us for See the Superior, for Simi, and for Spoiler. Please make sure that you check us out on Saturday, time to be announced, where we go ahead and we review none other than the next MCU movie, which is Doctor Strange. And this is definitely a movie I'm looking forward to reviewing, and that's coming up on Saturday. Make sure you follow us at UPR, YepILW, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube and podcast forums. Thank you so much for inviting us into your homes, cars, or whatever, and we will see or hear from you next time here at Unpopular Reviews. Good night, everybody.
Wait, 8710 Queens Boulevard. Give me the address.
You've got to be kidding me.